Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're running overhead or adjusting the valves on an N14. Um, if you've done this 1,000 times, then this video is probably not for you, but I'm just showing how we do it and what's involved, and we'll just kind of go through the whole thing. So it'll take a little time, but we'll just kind of show you how it works. So we've got the engine rolled over, and I'll show you as we roll to the next one, but we're on letter A over here on our accessory drive. And I did a previous video where we did cam followers on on an N14, not ISX, but N14, and talked about timing the accessory drive. So as long as the accessory drive's in time, you can adjust the valves. And how I know it's in time right now is I'm on A, and letter A is either number 1 or number 6, and number 1 is loose. And so as I roll to B, it goes in firing order, so B should be 5. So we'll do number 1. If 5 is out of whack and can't be adjusted, then I'll know that we're out of time or we're on the wrong letter for sure. So just a little heads up on how we do it. But anyway, I'm on A. We're going to do valves and injectors. And so Cummins says to use a inch-pound torque wrench on the injector, 25 inch-pounds. You tighten it down 25 inch-pounds, back it off 2 flats. I do both ways. I've used the torque wrench. Today I'm just going to tighten it down and back it off. The biggest thing you need to know, and if you haven't done this before, then definitely use the torque wrench, but you don't want to go too tight because it will stick the injector. It'll shove some carbon down in the tip and then it won't work. So I just go to where I just start to feel it get some crush in it. So you just go real slow. Right there, it stopped. I don't put any pressure on it. And then you back it off 2 flats. So this flat happens to be looking right at me, so I'll just go 2 flats. 1, 2, right there. Lock it down. So, and I try to always do the injector first, and it's always good to have a system so that you don't forget where you're at. So I know I've got the injector done. Now I'm going to do the intake, and then I'm going to do the exhaust. So intake's the inside ones on these. Back them off. They're 14 and 27. So you just get under there with your feeler gauge. Oh, I better tell you about the feeler gauge. You can do it 2 ways. Cummins has a clicker wrench that they say to use. That's a 5 inch-pound torque wrench. I'll use that once or twice to show you how it works. I'm kind of fond of, if you've seen any of my other videos, I'm fond of these go, no-go gauges, where one side is, well, let's just read it here. I've got 13 thousandths here, 15 thousandths here, so if this will go and that won't go, then I'm at 14. I hope that makes sense. So this shaved part is 13 thousandths, which is not the spec, right? 15 thousandths is too big, but if one will fit and the other one won't, I'm right at 14. So I like to use those. Anyway, we'll roll that under there, and right now, see, 15 will go. We'll give it just a little snug. That's too tight, I can't slide it. And then you have to get some oil off of there, so there we go. Right there, 13 goes, 15 won't, so I'm at 14. We'll go ahead and lock that down. And then, you always want to make sure that it stayed, because they do loosen and tighten with the nut, so that actually loosened up just a little bit, so we're going to loosen it up and just snug it just a little bit more. There. Since it loosened up before, I'm just going to give it just a little twist like that. This wrench has 2 ends on it, so Perfect. 13 goes, 15 doesn't. So that's how I'm going to set that. I'm going to do the exhaust the same way. It's 26, or sorry, 27. So we'll just slide that under there. That's a go, no go as well. It's actually, well, it's pretty close. We'll go ahead and tighten it up just a little bit. There. And then snug that up. Perfect. So number one's done. So now we can roll it and move on to letter B, which is either 2 or 5. So it should go in firing order. So 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. So a good way to check yourself is always repeat that firing order. So the next one should be 5. If it's not, then our accessory drive's out of time or we've read the letters wrong. So we'll go ahead and roll that over here. Just gonna roll on this accessory drive here. As this, I don't know if you can see, it's very faint. They're really hard to see, but there's a, I don't know if you can see that. There's a letter right there. But anyway, there's a little timing mark right up in there, that little nub, and that's what you line it up with. And I'm going to get some emery cloth and clean this maybe. Oh, I think it's right there. Yeah, we're going to need to clean it up with some emery cloth. Okay, so I've kind of cleaned up this pulley. These are really hard to read, and some are just the age of the engine. But anyway, I went beyond the B that I'm looking for, and so I found it, cleaned it off, and then I'm going to roll it back. So the big thing with rolling something backwards is you want to go beyond the point of where it needs to be and then roll it back again. And the reason you want to do that is because with the push tubes and the cam followers and the rockers, there's slop in there, right? So if you roll it back, it's not going to be exactly where it needs to be. So roll it beyond and then roll it up again. That way everything's where it ought to be. So now we're going to come back the right direction. I wish this was easier for you to see. Some are tough. So I don't know if you can see, there's a little yellow mark right there, but that lines up with that pointer right there. And that's our B. So let's go up and make sure it's on number 5. Alright, we're going to make sure that 5 is loose on both rockers, and it is. And the injector should be coming up, which it is. So from that I can kind of tell our accessory drive's in time. We should be good. As we continue to go though, I'll always make sure that things are right. I mean, if a valve's tight, super tight, like down, and you can't adjust it, something's really haywire. So we'll go on to number 5. So start with the injector. Of course, I chose to do this on an international, and you can't get into some of this stuff. So again, don't put all your weight on the wrench, but probably wise you just use a inch-pound torque wrench, but I just go real slow till it starts to stop, which is right there. So these are out of whack as far as I'm concerned, because I only went one flat and it tightened up. So you just find you a flat or a point. I got the point aiming right at this here, so I'll just go 2 points. 1, 2, and tighten that up. Basically, you're tightening it down to get the fuel out of the barrel there, and then you're backing it off. So. We're going to do intake, which is the inside again. Come on. They can be a little ignorant sometimes, so. That right there. Like that down. These ones that get under the cab, they get difficult. You end up getting different tools, shorter wrenches, screwdrivers, whatever. Lock that down, double check it, that's good. We'll go on to the exhaust. This actually really needs done. Everything's so out of whack. A lot of times when you do them, everything's close, like they're all out a few thousandths or something. But this exhaust was way out. Then you get one that's pretty close. Perfect. Okay, so we've done 1 and 5. Our next one should be 3. So 1, 5, 3, and then we're halfway through. We'll turn it over to C. We got C coming. My light probably makes it worse, but it's right there. I'm telling you, some are really tough, and some are pretty visible. So now we're on C. So double check ourselves again. Should be number what are we? 153. So should be number 3. Both valves are loose. This intake's just slightly tight, but I can tell it's up. And the injector's going down. We're on the right stroke. So we got a flat staring right at this, so that's my easiest visual. So we'll just go 2 flats. 1, 2. I've heard people say, oh, you go 3 flats, oh, you do this, that. This is just how I've always done it. It works. If you do it different and it works, then that's great. I'm not saying it's wrong, but this is how I do it. So back to the intake again. Now this, I'll show you this clicker wrench real quick. I do use this a fair amount still. I use it on Big Cam 2. I mean Big Cam all the time, not just Big Cam 2. But I use it when I'm not using a go no-go gauge. But I'll just show you how it works real quick. So you get your feeler gauge in there, these dang water hoses. And then what you do is, it's on a little cam, so it goes and then it breaks over. So you just go to the top before it breaks, like that, and that's 5 inch-pounds, and then you would lock it down. Makes them a little tighter, but I do like it. But when I'm using the go no go, I usually don't use it. Kind of takes a little bit of guesswork out, you know, on the feel. Some guys like to use the feel. You hear that pop out of there, so it's a little bit snugger.
So but anyway, let me ask you a question for me, but also just for film. The injectors, when you're adjusting them, is it going to make a difference that they're new?
No. No, because you're just putting the plunger down to the bottom. The new ones, you don't very often stick because there's not any carbon or anything in them. When I say stick, they get a, if you push them too hard, it can push carbon down on the tip and then they miss. And so you have to be careful not to push on them too hard. Gosh, this exhaust is actually pretty close, but lock it down, double check. Okay, we're on to the next one. So we're halfway done. We're going to go back to A. So A should be 6. So depending upon what A you start on, you could start on 6 or 1. So we started on 1, so it goes 1, 5, 3. If you started on 6, it would go 6, 2, 4, 1, 5, 3. So if you know the firing order, you shouldn't be messed up at all with this. So. Alright, we've rolled it around to A, which now we're on 6. It's back here in the back, kind of under the cab. I mean, I'm complaining a little, but this isn't near as bad as some. I've run plenty of overheads in the driver's seat or laying on the floor, as probably some of you have, because they really slam them in there sometimes. And these injectors are just all over the place. That actually turned the screw just a little bit, but it should be alright. Alright, we'll go on to the intake. You can do whatever order you want. Intake doesn't have to be first. I just do that so that I don't get lost on where I'm at. If someone comes and says, hey, need you for this or that, and I'm in the middle of something, I try not to leave an overhead ever, but at least I know I do intake first. It helps me to know where I'm at. So. Problem with being under the cab is I can't fit two hands under there at the same time. Very good. Okay, that feels good. Check that. Yeah, we're good. Okay, on the exhaust. Really could use a different screwdriver here. I might have to go get one. Alright, we'll roll back to B, so 15362, so we should be on 2. On B, we should have loose valves. Seems probably repetitious, but you can't be too careful. I mean, overhead's simple, yet you can really screw something up if you do it wrong. So always check, make sure the valves are loose, make sure the injector's rocking up. You can see that it's higher than the other ones, so we know it's on the downstroke, or the inject stroke, I guess. So you just make sure you go ever so slow, because see, it stopped right there. It's like a half a turn or half a flat. So let's go. That flat's sitting about 7 o'clock, so just kind of do that. Intake again. Okay, there's 2. So the next one should be 4 and we should be done. 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. Alright, we rolled the C. Doing our last one, number 4 here. Right there, it stopped on me. And again, torque wrench if you're not 100% sure, because it doesn't need to be tight. It just needs to stop, basically. So intake. Lock that down. There we go. Our exhaust. I did fail to mention that when it's cold, you want to do these cold, in my opinion. I think Cummins does recommend cold, and that doesn't mean it has to be sitting overnight, but I think it's under 160 degrees or something like that. So, but if the oil's real thick, you kind of get it puddled up under there. So I usually, I don't know if you've seen me a few times, I'll pull the feeler gauge out and wipe the oil off just to give me a little better read on it. But alright, overhead set. Now a real important thing I always do is go back through and check everything again, not with the feeler gauge but my wrench. One reason is just to make sure I didn't not get one tight, but the other reason is if I do find one that's loose, maybe I didn't adjust it, maybe I skipped over it, forgot about it, whatever. And so going back over them helps you not miss anything. And if there is one loose, then you roll it back around to where you need to adjust that and make sure that it's right. So you always want to check them. Overhead's one of the easier jobs, simpler things as far as maintenance, I think, at least for a tech. But you can really screw things up in a hurry if you get it wrong. So it's important that you pay attention, you don't get sidetracked. You don't walk away from the job if you can help it, and just kind of stay concentrating on it, because you set one wrong or you get on the wrong stroke, you got a bent valve in a hurry, and then the head's coming off. So a couple $100 overhead or whatever you charge turns into thousands of dollars if you leave something loose or, you know, get sidetracked somewhere. So, well, there it is, N14 overhead. We will adjust the jakes, but we'll get them on and show that as we do it. But that's it. Hope that helped you. Like I said, if you've done this 100,000 times, then video's probably not for you. You may have your way of doing it, but this is just how I've done it for about 30 years now. So anyway, thanks for watching.